Hi, welcome to Turnout Tune In. I'm Romy Cars Rappaport.
And I'm Zippora Cars, and today I want to have a conversation with you, Romy. I feel like I'd like to let you share with everyone how it was that you transitioned from yourself as a dancer and even as a teacher and found a whole new passion and a life calling that you have now found as a natural childbirth instructor, a doula, all things about bringing healthy babies into this world.
Okay. Well, I think that partly a lot of seeds were planted in our childhood. So Zippora and our mom, she was really passionate about just about the natural process, I think, and about how the body works. And I was the youngest of the four of her children. And when you're the youngest and you're sort of always vying for the attention and for something special about you, because I was the third girl, it was something that I just really attached onto. That she always, when she would talk about my birth, she would always say, "Oh, but Romy, your birth was just so wonderful. It was the easiest one, and I didn't have to have any medication." She just really wasn't happy with how she was being treated in the hospital. She herself was a home birth, and then the process of birth became very institutionalized and hospitalized and really changed by the time she was the one having the babies. And so for Zippora and our brother and our other sister, she just wasn't so happy. It was about medication and it was about interventions. And so by the time she knew she was getting ready to have me, she kind of put her foot down and she just said, "I don't think anybody needs to touch me. I want to trust my body. I don't want anybody messing with it." And luckily she found a doctor who said, "Fine." That was the beginning of a whole new movement of people that weren't happy with the hospital births and the interventions that were going on. So she found a doctor who said that that was fine, and had a completely natural birth with me. And there's a picture, I believe, of her holding me an hour after the birth. And she would always show that to me when I was young. And she would say, "This was right when you came out, right after you came out. And look, I'm standing up and we just went home. We just got up and we went home like soon after this." And she was so proud and so excited. And growing up, I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't know anything about, birth or anything, but I just knew it was something she spoke, was really happy with. And I remember really loving that. And she, in fact, was so taken with that whole experience and with that doctor who finally, who allowed that, which was not the norm during this. I was born in the late 60s. That wasn't the norm during that time. Hospitals, everyone went to the hospital to have their baby. So she started working for him. He said, "I want you to teach other women who want that. Will you come into my office and teach other women how to have their babies just like you had your baby?" So she sort of became a natural childbirth educator. And I remember growing up and, maybe once a month, or I don't remember how often, but she would go and she would work with other couples and help prepare them to have the same kind of birth that she wanted. We know you never know when you have a baby what kind of birth they're going to have, but if you go in educated and you have the right support, a good percentage of people who want to have, a natural birth can most likely have it. So that's just how I grew up. And we also became really involved in, as Zipporah has mentioned, I think before, that we grew up with an aunt who was really into something called the loving relationships training. And that was just a um, sort of a seminar that worked with patterns and thought, the fact that thought is creative and how we live our life, and to be able to look at patterns and just lead a very conscious life. And within that, one of their modalities of dealing with people's issues and helping you to reset your patterns and to look at your life starts at birth. And so we started that when maybe we were, I was a young teenager, and we started doing these trainings, and it included something called rebirthing. And part of that was literally being able to take your breath and go back into your birth and sort of figure out the patterns that maybe started in your very first impressions and your very first breath. And so I think that between knowing that my mom loved birth, our mother loved my birth, and then realizing how important birth was. I just remember thinking, this is like, we're onto something really big here. And of course, I was into my dance career and, was so passionate, and how many little girls who dream of being a ballerina, get to actually fulfill that. So, passion, passion, passion. And then when I left New York City Ballet, and got pregnant, I didn't realize that something big and new was going to happen. So in my birth with my son Gabriel, my husband and I, we just wanted to have a safe, your goal is like, you get through birth and you have your baby, and really that's all that matters. But I remember my mother and our older sister, who had already had a few kids by then, saying, go ahead and do these childbirth education classes, like really educate yourself. And so of course I was going to do that, because I had already known that my sister at that time had already had 3 natural childbirths, and it was just part of our family to be sort of trained in these methods. And so Alex and I went and we did this class, and I just remember thinking, well, I don't know what's going to happen. All I care about is that I come out of it alive and my baby's alive, and I'll just do my best. I'll just do my best. And sure enough, when labor happened, I felt like there were no surprises. I was so educated, and the whole time, everything that happened, we said, oh, we were warned about this. This is what we're supposed to try. This is what we're supposed to try. And my husband just supported me so beautifully, and everything, and I was able to just trust my body. In the education before, I learned what my body would be doing and how my body was meant to go through this process. And I believed it, because as I was going through it, it was happening exactly how I was told. And of course, everyone has their own experience, and I didn't know the intensity I was going to face. And I wouldn't say it was easy. It was the hardest thing I've ever been through, but I was able to keep saying, I was told this would happen, and I was able to dig down and think about my mom who went through this, and my grandmother who went through this, and my sister who went through this, and every wise woman and body that was made to go through this process. And so I had the most beautiful, wonderful experience with having my son. And I remember just thinking, wow, that was so unbelievably awesome. And rather than thinking that was, the most awful, horrid pain, and at no point did I ever think I couldn't do it without medication. I mean, it was hard, but at no point did I think, I'm putting up the flag and I need something. I just thought, my body is amazing, and this is just an agreement that I have, and this is the way I'm going to have my son. And because I felt so supported and so educated, it just wasn't, it wasn't even a question. And so when it finished, when I was holding him, I just couldn't wait to do it again. I just thought, this is unbelievable. And I remember just thinking how sad it was that I grew up in a culture where birth is just looked at as the most, as a really terrifying experience, where you feel like a victim, and it's given in this light where a woman just sort of goes crazy. And I really found my voice. I had gone from this very, shy ballerina, being, trying to be the perfect this and do exactly what I need to do and what I was told to do, to suddenly really finding my own power, and here I was 28 when I had my son. And that was the first time I really remember thinking, no, I've never felt such empowerment in myself. And so I really feel like that led to the mother that I am, and the bond between Gabriel's father, with all of us. It just really led to the most amazing start. And as I kept raising him, I just kept seeing the benefit. And I was a super hands-on mom, and I, went back to teaching within a few weeks, and just was interested in just being a mom. But within a year or two, I remember thinking, I really want other women to experience, the more I saw the benefit of how the birth affected our breastfeeding relationship and the bond that we all had as a family. I just thought, I want to be one of those voices, that really, really puts out there how important Sacred Day is.